This
Can you hear me?
conference will now be recorded.
Jeff here. If you can hear me.
No, you're showing up. You already typed in your own name, I guess.
Yeah, or memorized or something.
You're on the phone too, Jeff?
No, actually, just computer.
Yeah, we have someone else that's on the telephone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is Jay Mills. Yeah, I'm on the phone.
Hi, Jay. Hey,
Hey.
Jay. Welcome.
Hey, thanks.
I don't know where.
Just
Rick
saw
went.
the text. Saw the text from Rick. He says, "Please start, Eric Bookbinder. Rest in peace, brother. He passed away."
Oh God.
Rick's on the phone with his wife.
Oh shit.
Well, he fought hard and long.
Yes. Although not that long. I mean, his started about the same time as you and me. Larry.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
About 4.5 years ago, and it progressed very rapidly. So,
Right.
yeah, it was not good.
And as far as we know, there were no aggressive genetic mutations that might have accounted for that.
Right.
Yeah. It's a tough case.
Yes.
All
Well,
right.
we know it was coming, but it's still very sad and depressing to hear the news.
It is. It is. But it's an end to his suffering. He really wasn't doing well the last few months at all.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. So, Daryl, you are new. We will definitely talk to you, and we'll talk to you first. But first, we want to find out who else on the call would like some time tonight to speak.
Thank you.
So bear with us, Daryl. Jake and Peter.
We also have Jeff Dryer. I don't know if he's. Are you new here, Jeff?
Oh, sorry.
No, just
Whoops. Yeah, I've been
Jeff's
here
been on.
before. Not
Okay.
regular. I usually can't make it, but happy to be here today.
Okay.
I might want to, depending on the conversation, I might want to jump in with something.
Okay. And that's Jeff Dryer.
Yes.
Okay.
GEOFF.
All right, let me start at the top here from my list. We have Jake. I don't suppose you want to update us anymore today?
I don't have anything new. I
Right.
am going to see my doctor on Wednesday tomorrow.
Oh,
Or,
cool.
yeah, Wednesday. Sorry.
Okay. And Peter, you probably have some stories to tell.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Rich Jackson, what's up? Oh, brother Rich Jackson. Maybe he stepped away.
Yeah.
We'll come back to Rich. I still have somebody listed as caller number 6. Jake, you know who that is?
Yeah, somebody just joined. Somebody just joined in the telephone.
Yeah, it's Cameron Upton.
Who?
Oh my gosh.
What was your name again, sir?
Cameron Upton from
CAM.
downtown Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, Cameron. Did I get
Welcome,
that right?
Cameron. Would you like some time to talk on this call tonight?
At this stage, I'll just listen in, I suppose. Is Rick on the line?
He will be. He will be shortly.
Yeah, I'm now on the line. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Hello, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
Hi, Cam. What a pleasure to hear your voice. And yes, he does need some time. I'm telling you, he needs some time. Because if he doesn't, we'll give him some time.
All right, then I'll have some time when you're ready.
Okay.
Rick, you want me to continue down the line, or you want to take it from here?
No, you keep going. I just have to gather myself a little bit.
All right. So, Jay Curran.
Yeah, I would like some time.
Okay, Jay. You got it. And Jeff Markey.
Hello there, everyone. I really don't have anything to say today. I found a great app that makes me, that stopped me from having so much incontinence. Timer Plus, set up a 11-second interval 64 times. I do it a couple times a day. It really cuts back on the leaking. But that's all I got to say.
Okay, Jeff. Somebody's making a lot of noise. Is that Rick?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rick.
it's me. Sorry.
Okay, Ken Anderson.
Rick muted himself. Okay. I'm sorry, Len.
Yeah, Ken Anderson is muted, but let us know if you want some airtime tonight, Ken.
No, I'm good, thanks. I'll just listen in, but everything's cool.
Very good. Okay. Larry Fish in Brooklyn. Hello, Larry.
Hey, good evening, guys. I'm good for tonight. Thank you, Lynn.
All righty. And Les Schilderup, you're also muted.
Yes, the only thing I wanted to check in on was what Peter had to say, because we went through very similar situations, so I'm just waiting to hear from him.
Yes, that's right. Maybe you could even give us your story as Peter gives his. Let's see.
Gary?
Gary, yeah. Hey, Gary.
Hi, you guys. I'm just listening in tonight. So thank you.
Okay. Sylvester.
No, not this evening. Thanks so much.
Okay, Sylvester. And did I cover everyone? Anyone?
No,
Ken?
not yet. Somebody just joined on the telephone, Len.
Okay.
Would you care to identify yourself? On the telephone?
Yes. Oh, yes. I just called in to listen in tonight for the first time.
Okay. Do you want to give us a name so we know who's listening to us?
My name's Kevin.
Kevin. Okay. Welcome to the call.
Thank you.
If you have anything to say,
Bill Franklin just joined.
Yes.
Yes, I just joined in. Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin,
if you want airtime tonight. Bill?
Yes, it's
I'm sorry,
my
what?
first time.
No, he just wants to listen.
Kevin, if you feel like you want to take some time during the meeting, just let us know and we'll make time for you.
Right.
Yes, I appreciate that because I may have some questions later on. I sort of wanted to get a feel for the conversation. I suppose it's my first time.
Okay, just feel free to listen in as long as you want, and then we'll check in with you along the way to see if you'd like some time, or if you want to just call back next time. But we will take care of you for sure.
Great, thank you.
So Rick, I know you have some news for us. Do you want to start with that, or do you want to? Our first, we have a new first-time visitor, Daryl from Toronto, friends of Marguerite and Tony.
Right.
So he'll want to give us or take some time. So you want to start that? Or you want to tell us about Eric?
Well, I'm so sorry that I started talking to you, Daryl, and then I hung up. I got a call back from the wife of one of our participants who has been with us for a long, long time, 5 years or more. He invoked hospice about 3 weeks ago, and his wife just called me to let me know that he passed on Thursday, last Thursday, very peacefully at home. And there'll be a memorial service in January, which I certainly plan to attend. I don't think there's a lot else to tell you all. I mean, everybody knew. I'm talking about Eric Buchbinder. Sorry, I should have identified that. Most of you who are regulars on this call know Eric well through this group. And what Gail just told me, I've met Gail, and what Gail just told me is how much he appreciated this group and how he would tell people, he'd regale people with stories about the group. I don't exactly know what those stories were, but I may find out at some point. She asked me if I would say, if I was going to go to the memorial, would I say something? And I said, of course I would. They were trying to debate whether to do this at the country club. There's a fancy country club in Orinda, or at the local community center. The country club wanted $1,000. Community center wanted $175 an hour, and she said she thinks that the community center was more Eric's style, which I think I probably have to agree with. What I will say is that Eric lived in an amazing house. It was a historical house in the Orinda Hills, and he actually he and Gail had a sort of a small suite in there, and then they rented out a lot of the rooms. That's how they paid for the maintenance, the mortgage, and everything else. So they sort of had a commune of about 10, 12 people that lived in that house. And I visited it just one time. He was kind enough to let me leave my car there when I went overseas a couple of years ago. But I don't have a lot else to say right now. It's just, I don't want to say it's a bit of a shock, because when you invoke hospice, then you know that the end is near. And my experience has been when people decide to do that, they've sort of given up the fight and they're ready to go. And we've seen this a couple of times recently with people that we work with, and that was the case with Eric. So that's all I can tell you at this point.
Eric was quite an accomplished man, apparently. He was big into computers. He had a software company, I believe, that he sold. He was into some kind of art reproductions. A lot of different things, all pretty much self-made, self-entrepreneurial. So he was quite a talented man.
Well, there is an obituary that's going to appear in the San Francisco Chronicle. And so I'll kind of watch out for that, and then I'll link it or make sure I send it around to all of you. And I think that she's going to send me a copy, that Gail is going to send me a copy of the obituary. Gail is disabled and has been for several years. She had a stroke, and she's pretty much come back from it, but she has mobility issues. Her speech is fine. And I think her thought process is fine. But Eric spent a lot of time pushing her around, as he often told us. That was his source of exercise, he would tell us. Yes, how did you know that, Jake?
I talking to him a couple times. He's made comments, and I actually looked him up one time on the on Google.
Okay.
His name is very unusual, so I just for some reason one day I was looking up names. He was he had a very unusual name, so it was easy to find. Not like Rick Davis. There's probably 100,000 of, or
yeah.
They count them. There's 100,000 of them.
I will tell you how I found Eric, though, because this is a good story. Some of you know, some of you with long memories know Peter and Len for sure, that at one time they were active on the Inspire Us To forum, and which is I think most of you know, it's a written forum. And it's a very good source for getting questions answered, and there's some good debate in there, and goodness knows what. Anyway, there was a fellow I used to date with called Peter Hahn. His name just came back to me. And he was a guy who didn't really believe in testing. And we went back and forth, and he was an academic, and we went back and forth, and he once sent me an article that he was going to publish to edit. So there was a lot of respect, but we just were on different sides of the fence. And he said to me, oh, his first cousin, had just gotten diagnosed with serious prostate cancer. Could he put him in touch with me? And it turned out, and his cousin he lived somewhere on the East Coast, on the I think in upstate New York or somewhere like that, or maybe in one of the maritime New England states. But his cousin lived in San Francisco, and I said, of course he could. And that's when I met Eric. And yeah, I guess I was going to say the rest is history. I'm just trying to see when it was that Eric first came to us. I think it was probably around it was in 2014. It was 4 or 5 years ago.
Rick, this is Peter. I think, I don't know whether it's true for Eric, but there's a very famous bookbinder from the Berkeley area, a big philanthropist and a big person in terms of refugees and supporting refugees and immigrants. I don't know whether Eric's related to her or not. She's since gone. Worked until her 90s in the Berkeley area, and I don't know if he's part of that family or not.
Oh, they were from the Berkeley area?
Yes, this woman who lived into her 90s, I think, was from the Berkeley area.
Do you remember her? Could have been his mother. Do you remember his
first name?
I don't know. It's okay. A memory of mine.
Well, we'll do some research. Jake, there's some research for you to do.
Okay.
Okay.
My heart's not in it right now, Rick, but I will.
I understand. Yeah.
That makes me very sad.
It just sort of, it takes your breath away a little bit. So let us just. I'm going to split some of this moderating tonight with Len, but there's a couple of things I see that Carl just came on, and Carl, my apologies, you were on my mind yesterday and today. I just wanted to check in with you and see how your surgery went, so we will definitely come to you and check on your surgery. Okay. And but let us start with Daryl. And Daryl, I'm sorry I have so abruptly cut cut off from you, but that's when the phone rang with Eric's wife on it, and so I just had to take the call. You were saying that you've been here for 43 years.
Yeah,
So,
Rick, if I may, just before I start, I didn't know Eric, but my condolences to his family.
thank you.
And
we will pass them all through.
Thank you for taking me to the forum, gentlemen. The next time I get in touch with you guys, I'll be on a webcam so you can see what the Africans look like after spending 42 years in Toronto. So I hope you all understand my accent. But thank you, Rick. I appreciate it, and I really appreciate Marguerite getting me in touch with you guys.
Oh yeah, well, I've been here 45 years. So, I mean, of course, we've got Australian accents, South African accents, and sort of muddled, bastardized English accents on this call today. So you Brits, you Yanks who are on there, you're going to have to keep your ears open to figure out where everybody's from on here. And you know, Daryl, and Cam, I like to tell these guys that the Brits celebrate Thanksgiving on July the 4th.
Yes.
Rick has an accent?
Well, when I go home, probably like Daryl, they say, "Oh, you sound like an American." So, so there we go. Anyway, Daryl.
I would think Daryl's
What's that?
Australian.
No, Daryl's South African.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
So if you get them on the
But I'm sure, Daryl, that's not the first time you've been called an Aussie, right?
many a times, different nationalities, but I'll take them all. But I happen to be South African, so that's
Right.
how.
And I would guess with that accent that it's probably Johannesburg and not Cape Town.
You're correct.
Yes.
Yes.
I hear the difference.
Yeah.
So
if you say pin and this, you're from Cape Town. If you say this and pin, you're from Johannesburg.
Okay, so Daryl, tell us. Many of us know Marguerite because she's a long timer, and we appreciate her very much. Please tell us a little bit about your history. I don't know anything, so start us at the beginning.
Thank you. I appreciate it again for giving me this opportunity, gentlemen. I was diagnosed at 56 years old with aggressive prostate cancer after my PSA level rose to 7.9. Immediately after that, they did a biopsy and found that the cancer was aggressive. My Gleason score was 9 at the time, and immediately the oncologist recommended that I do a radical prostatectomy. I had no option but to do it not robotically because I had 2 previous hernia operations, and because of that, they were not able to do it robotically. So we did it with a very, very good surgeon over here. I had the radical prostatectomy. I was diagnosed in May, and I had the prostatectomy in June. My recovery was pretty good. I had no real issues with the operation, no infections, no incontinence, obviously diapers for a couple of months, but after that I was in pretty good shape. And after that I did, they recommended that because of my aggressiveness I would do radiation, which I did for 6.5 weeks, daily radiation, and also started on Zoladex at the same time. I did that for a year, basically in a trial, and then the doctor said that I could not continue on the Zoladex anymore through the trial, and I opted to leave that hospital and go to Princess Margaret Hospital, downtown Toronto. I'd started off at Sunnybrook, and now I was going to Princess Margaret. When I got to Princess Margaret, I saw a radiation oncologist there as well, and he immediately put me back onto Zoladex. I've basically been on Zoladex for the last 6 years, every 3 months the needle. And what had happened is, as my journey progressed the first couple of years, and because of the aggressiveness of the cancer, it started spreading to my bones and started metastasizing pretty early, whereby it went to my spine, my ribs, and my pelvis. During this time, I was committed to also trying to do things that would help the cause. So I enrolled in the Right to Conquer Cancer. I don't know if you're familiar with it in the US, but they have it here in Toronto. 5,000 riders. And I did my first ride after 5.5 months of chemo. Docetaxel, did 6 months of treatment, and about 5 weeks later, I did my first ride to conquer cancer. The docetaxel unfortunately didn't really do much for me, and continued on the journey. I then went on to Xtandi as well, having 4 tablets every day as the protocol called for, and did that for a couple of years. The interesting thing in my case is that my PSA was 7.9 when I was diagnosed, and my PSA has never gone past 2.7. Now, my spread is basically throughout my spine, my rib, and my pelvis. And a year ago, I got a lump in my neck, and the doctor recommended that I should look at a new phase 1 trial. And I went on to a immunotherapy trial, the first person in the world to actually get this treatment. The treatment was pretty excessive. It was over 5 months, one week a month. I was in total isolation in the hospital. And unfortunately, after the treatment, after the 5 months, the tumors had not shrunk. In fact, some of them had increased. So I went off the trial, and I am now went and did radiation for 2 months ago. I just did radiation on my neck as it spread to my neck, my lymph nodes in my neck, my mandible, the back of my head, and down my neck on the side, on the left side. My PSA at this point in time is 1.28. I did the genetic testing as well, and the genetic testing came back negative to BRCA 1 or 2, as well as not even being able to find a prostate gene, which they are quite baffled with. So at this point in time, I just want to tell you a little bit of some of the things that I've been doing over the last 6 years. I've taken on Movember. 6 years ago, I started a team. This year, we'll have raised up to $150,000. And I also have completed 5 Right to Conquer Cancers, and hope to do my 6th one this coming June. The pains, unfortunately, seem to be increasing, and my doctors at this point in time, unfortunately, don't seem to be able to give me any recommendation as to what I should be doing. I questioned him about lutetium. I questioned him about actinium. and he was really non-responsive in terms of offering me or telling me or recommending anything specific. So when I spoke to Marguerite, she said, get in touch with these guys. They possibly can give you some guidance. And then she offered me to possibly go and get a second and a third opinion from a couple of guys locally, one in Sunnybrook Hospital and another doctor in Montreal. So my whole situation is that I'm 6 years into this. I'm now 62 years old. I'm in pretty good shape besides the pains. I still play golf when it's summer over here. And I can basically function pretty well. Unfortunately, from this last bit of radiation, it took away my taste buds and it took away my saliva. So I've lost 25 pounds in the last 3 months since I did the treatment. Those are basically the real issues at this point in time. But I am functionable. I'm strong. I take 1 milligram of Dilaudid at night, and basically that's all the medication that I'm on at this point. So my real dilemma right now is that you are the first guys that I'm looking at to try and find out whether any of you are familiar with the lutetium, with actinium, anybody's had it, any of the guys that you know have had it, and maybe any recommendations if there's anything else that you would be able to give me some advice on and help me on my journey. So, gentlemen, that's basically my 6 years in 15 minutes. Thank you for that.
Well, God bless you for all the support work that you're doing through all of this, Daryl. Respect, as Ali G would say. I have a couple of questions just to clarify. I know the guys are going to have a lot of thoughts, and but I just want to clarify a few things. So you were diagnosed in 2012, 7.9. Was that Gleason a 4+5 or a 5+4?
I think it was a 4 and a 5.
4+5, okay. And you did an RP at Sunnybrook. Who was your surgeon?
My surgeon was John Noakes, but he was from North York General Hospital. Okay. I did the operation at North York General and did all the radiation at Sunnybrook. He referred me to it.
Okay. And what was the trial that they put you on where they wanted to stop you after 12 months?
It was basically a trial that you do the radiation with hormone therapy, or you just do the hormone therapy without. You just do radiation without the hormone therapy. Yeah. And I said to him that if I don't get into the trial with the hormone therapy and the radiation, I don't want to do the trial. But the trial only gave me 6 months, not a year, sorry. It gave me 6 months, and I wanted the year. So I lived after that 6 months, and I went to EMH, Princess Margaret, and they put me straight back on the hormone therapy.
Yeah, I mean, with the Gleason 9 and follow-up radiation, most places would be giving you anywhere from 18 months to 3 years of hormone therapy, which in fact is pretty much what you did anyway.
Correct.
So you've been on for 6 years. When did you do the chemo?
I did the chemo, I think in my third year, I did the doxycycline for, I think, 6 months.
Okay. And did the docetaxel knock your PSA down?
No, it did not. Basically, I think the hormone therapy, the Zolidix and the Xtandi, it down. But, my doctors keep on telling me that I'm castrate resistant. And now I've been off Xtandi for over a year.
And they never gave you carboplatin?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about some options for you and some thoughts. But I'm kind of surprised, but so then you started the Xtandi soon after the chemo when you didn't respond, and
Correct.
you did it for 2 years.
Yes.
Yes. And what happened to your PSA during that period?
It came down as well. My PSA has been pretty low over most of these years. If I look at a chart now, on the 19th of May 2017, which is actually a year ago today, 19th of May, sorry, in 2017, on the 19th, my PSA at that time was 2.41. And I'm looking at my chart going from May of 2017 up to October the 16th when I did my last one. And my PSA never went higher than 2.49. And I'm now at 1.38.
Okay. And so for the last 12 months, you've just been taking the ADT, and then when did you go through this immunotherapy trial?
I did the immunotherapy trial from December 2017 until May 2018.
Okay. So hold on a minute. 12, 17 to 5, 18. And what drug were they trialing?
The problem was because it was a trial, I wasn't able to know the particular drug that they were giving me. It was just a number called BMS. I can give you that number. I don't have it on the top of my head at this point, but it was an immunotherapy trial with a soft tissue, hopefully to attack both soft tissue and bone, but it did not work.
Okay, but they should have told you the name. Well, I mean, it's identified with a number. BMS is Bristol Myers.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So I'll give you the number of it if you want to look it up under the thing.
I would. I would, because I've got a couple of questions on that, but we'll come back to that. You can put it in the chat window for me. Now,
No problem.
Did they biopsy the neck lump?
Yes, they did, and it's the same primary from the prostate.
So it was definitely a prostate.
Yeah, from prostate, yes.
Right. And did they genetically sequence that? Or you mentioned that you you got genetic testing. It sounds like that was germline testing.
Yeah. Yes, they did genetically sequence that as well.
Okay, and so and there were, what mutations were shown in the genetic sequencing of the tumor?
To be honest, I don't know the exact answer to that, but I could certainly read out my my result of that to you. But there was nothing in there that was specific that they would be able to do any treatment for.
Did they measure factors like microsatellite instability, MSI or MMR?
Not that I'm aware of.
No. Well, if you have that, if you see if you can get hold of, if you don't have it, a copy of that genomic sequencing. Because that's really important. And who was running this trial? Was that Princess Margaret or Sunnybrook or?
It was Princess Margaret.
It was Princess Margaret. Okay. Okay. So
the thing is that
sorry, go ahead.
I feel that at this point in time, that if I don't self-advocate, and I have always self-advocated, even from the beginning, I've been very prudent in checking what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, what the side effects are, so on and so forth. So I've really been on my case, but I've come to a point where I feel lost. Reading about the lutetium and the double strands and the alpha and the betas. I'm really confused at this point in time, and I don't know what tests I need to do in order to find out whether I need to do actinium or lutetium, or, if I need to do anything at this point in time. Unfortunately tonight we have the sad news about Eric, and I keep on saying to the doctor, and I know it's blunt, but I keep on saying to the doctor, what's going to get me? Is it going to be the metastasis? Is it going to be the lymph nodes in my neck? Is it going to be spread to my kidneys, spread to the organs? Like, what do I need to be cautious of? Like, what am I trying to achieve here? What kind of treatment am I looking to do to try and slow down or halt or whatever?
Right.
And that's my dilemma right now.
So let me give you a couple of thoughts before I throw it open to everybody. Okay. I've been at this game now for about 11 years.
Wow.
As an advocate, I fortunately was very lucky. I was stage 3, and my treatment seems to have given me a durable remission. Of course, you never know. You test each year, but I consider myself very, very fortunate. But I've worked with a lot of guys since my own diagnosis, which was in May of 2007.
Right.
And every so often, I find people who never show high PSAs, despite having significant metastasis.
Yes.
And I will say that was true of Eric for many, many years, and probably I've worked with maybe half a dozen guys or so. Now, this was not true in Eric's case, and it may not be true in your case, but very often men that don't show significant PSAs have some sort of a morphed type of disease. It's not necessarily small cell, but it acts a lot more like small cell or neuroendocrine disease, but it is not neuroendocrine disease because they would have seen it when they did your biopsies, or they should have seen it when they did your biopsies.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of, and I know also that in Canada, it is very, and I know this mainly from, it's hard to find very good genitourinary medical oncologists. So one of the issues in Canada is that there are a number of surgeons there who consider themselves to be very savvy, and they treat you right the way through. So you don't get the specialized genitourinary medical oncologist that you do in the States. And I don't know if that's your situation or not. I suspect that if you were being treated here, they probably would have tried you on some treatments that would be responsive to or would address the small cell neuroendocrine. And that's why I asked you if you'd been on carboplatin, because carboplatin tends to work better for that type of mutation. I was going to ask you if you'd had your tumor sequenced, and you evidently have, because they sequenced the neck tumor, which was definitely from the prostate primary.
Yes.
And that's fairly recent, although that was the beginning of the year. It's already, it's getting on 12 months since you start. I mean, it's almost 18 months since you started that. So it might not be a bad idea to sequence that tumor again, or one of your tumors again, send it down to somewhere like Foundation Medicine, that's who we like, because they have a very good panel, and see if anything emerges out of that. And they will definitely be measuring MSI and MMR. The reason I asked you about MSI and MMR is because for certain drugs, it is important. For certain immunotherapy drugs, it is definitely important. I don't know, without looking at the drug that you identified, you got, without knowing more about it, what type of immunotherapy drug it was, but there are many types of immunotherapy.
I can give you the info on it. It was called CA034001.
Hold on a second. Let me write that down. It was did you say BMS first of all?
So it's under a few different ones, and it starts with CA034001.
CA034001, right?
That's it. And then it goes BMF 986277.
986277. Is that BMS is in sugar, right?
BMF for Freddy.
Oh, BMF. Okay. All right. Well, you know, I can certainly look a little bit, a little bit more into that and see what we can find for you. Or I can see my man Len is already looking to see what he can find.
I was thinking about looking at coming to the US for a going to maybe to the Mayo Clinic or somewhere else. But when I met with Marguerite, she offered me to speak to you guys, and I said, you know, that would be spectacular. So I'm really kind of, you know, hoping that that you guys can help and guide me as to
we
what
can. No, we can. That was my next question. And we can guide you, and it would not be to the Mayo Clinic, Maita. With the greatest respect to them, and we've got guys on this call who are being treated there right now. I think that they do a good job, but when it gets to be complicated disease like this, you know, and I'll let some of the guys talk to you about what they think about their doctors there. But for me, I would want to be probably either Memorial Sloan Kettering, MD Anderson, you know, maybe Minneapolis, or maybe I would send you to Chuck Ryan, who was at UCSF until very, very recently. But you might be, and it's also convenient and closer. But we'll talk about that. I've got a bunch of ideas. I got a bunch of ideas as to who I would, if it were me, who I would go to. You know, it would probably be Paul Korn at MD Anderson, Chuck Ryan at Minneapolis, possibly UCSF. I'm not sure. They're in a in-between phase there. Possibly Memorial Sloan Kettering. But anyway, let me, and we need to talk a little bit about lutetium. And yes, I mean, you're strong enough, and now is definitely the time for you to be doing lutetium. And there are lutetium trials going on. Actinium, there really aren't. There's a trial I think that they're considering in Australia. Cam may know more about that. At Peter McClellan, which is where he gets treated, and we'll ask Cam in a second. But they're not doing any work with actinium here. I think they are in Germany, but they're not doing any work yet with actinium in this country that I know of. Only lutetium.
Germany, in Heidelberg, and they actually are doing it in South Africa with Mike Setheki. He's doing the lutetium there. So,
yes, that's right. I remember that.
It is available there. The interesting thing that I just heard from Tom Flannery, who called me the other day through Marguerite as well, to tell me that it looks like that Prostate Cancer Canada are considering doing the lutetium in Canada. It's in Vancouver at the moment, and I think they are looking at bringing it to Toronto, either through through Princess Margaret Hospital. I'm not quite sure, but I am going to call them tomorrow to find out what the status of that is.
So here's what we've seen with the lutetium with a couple of people. First of all, you got to be pretty strong when you start it, because I've seen at least 2 guys that we've lost because they started it too late and it had a significant effect on their blood counts. And I'm assuming your blood counts are pretty healthy at this point in time, right?
I've never had an issue. I never had a problem during any of my I call it tequila treatment. So I never had a problem during my tequila treatment. I was good to go every time. My bloods have been perfect, basically. So from that point of view, you know, I'm in good shape. My kidneys are operating perfectly. So, you know, I am in good shape.
Okay, so, you know, we lost my co-founder, Rob Beniscus, earlier this year. And he did lutetium. It took a while. I've seen this in a couple of guys. It doesn't work immediately. In fact, it can cause a flare. And his PSA, he was another guy that generally had low PSAs until it finally took off, because much of his disease was in soft tissue. So he had very strange disease. But in his case, it finally did take off. And when it took off, it rocketed. And it went from about 1,200 when he got the lutetium. It peaked at 1,700, and then it came down to 250. But he was not strong enough to do another treatment. So, you know, we've seen some pretty good results with lutetium. But let me let the guys. I'm sure there's a few guys that are really interested to talk to you, and then we'll try and sum it up. You know, in the next 5 minutes or so.
Thank you.
Hey, Rick, I just need to find it for 1 second.
Hey, Rick.
Go ahead, Ken.
Just wanted to let you know that Cam had an emergency. He had to take off on the line, and I forgot I had a dinner at 6 o'clock at a client's house, so I'm gonna have to bug out. I'm at their house, sitting here listening to you guys eating dinner.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll lose you. I'm sorry you and Cam can't be on the call at the same time.
I know. Next week I'll stick around.
At the same time. Okay. Cam, don't you go away.
Cam left already.
Yeah, Rick, Cam had to go because he had a kid emergency. You know, 3 little boys running around. He had something pop up. He texted me. He had to leave.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. So go ahead, guys. Who would like to speak to Daryl?
I have a question, Rick. So, Daryl.
Yes, Len.
You said you had loss of your saliva and taste. Was that due to radiation therapy to your neck region for the lymph nodes there?
Correct. So they radiated about 7 different spots, and they told me beforehand that I would probably have this side effect.
Right. So do you have any saliva production?
I do have saliva production because of the other side is not affected, but my saliva is quite thick and tough, you know, harder to swallow. So it is a bit of a challenge. They seem to tell me that this would be just a very temporary situation, but I still have not got any taste and I have no appetite. But I'm literally trying to force myself to eat high proteins and stuff. What I did want to tell you guys, which I admitted, and I'm sure there's other things that will come up in the months, please God, in the years that I talk to you guys, is that I am also vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for about 47 years. I haven't eaten any meat or poultry or anything to that effect. So I do eat fish, very plain fish. and I get most of my protein from nuts and fish and beans and stuff like that. So I've always been health conscious and so on, but I don't know if that's an advantage or disadvantage. It seems to be something that they talk about, cut out a lot of red meat, and they even mention, as you guys probably have knows, that they talk about red meat could be a contributing factor to prostate cancer. Well, I debunk that as well. I've kind of become an anomaly because I haven't had red meat in 47 years. So, that kind of doesn't.
Well, yeah, but don't debunk it, because all of this may have slowed the progression of the disease. You don't know that.
No, I'm taking it as a positive.
Yeah, I definitely would. But Len.
Yeah, I wanted to. My point was that one of the only, I believe, side effects of lutetium 177 PSMA is that the PSMA antigen is in the salivary glands, and with lutetium treatment, they say that there's irreversible loss of saliva.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately, and they say that it does bother the guys.
Yep. I have heard of that. Yeah. And that's why I'm so nervous to go ahead with these various different treatments, because my whole philosophy has been that quality of life is my primary concern. And I'm not prepared to go and do first phase trials for 2 years when I'm going to be in a hospital every 3 weeks doing a trial and giving blood. That's not exactly how I want to operate for, the good years that that I have left. So, those kind of things do not excite me at all. But I am very cautious as to sometimes the treatment can be actually worse than your present situation. And that's what I'm trying to weigh up is, when and how and what and if is my big dilemma right now.
Daryl, this is Peter.
Hi, Peter.
Wondering, when you became castrate resistant, and it was primarily in your bones, did they ever consider radium-233 with you?
Yes, they did. They did talk about it, and I actually refused it because I read a few articles that if you do radium-223, you would not be a candidate for lutetium or actinium down the road. And I basically then refused it because I thought that if the radium doesn't work as well, then I really have no other options. And also when I got the tumors in my neck, from what I understand, it doesn't work on soft tissue. It's only for bone. So, so I was kind of, in one way, happy that I never did it, and kind of, left me at this point in time. So, yes.
Sorry you're going through this challenge. I mean, I think a lot of us, perk up our ears because you're way ahead of some of us.
Yep.
It's
but I can
it's scary. It's scary, but you seem to be doing it strongly.
Sorry?
That it's kind of scary, but you seem to have a great attitude and be handling this very strongly.
Well, I'm leaving tomorrow on a golf trip for 4 days with a couple of buddies. So I let nothing stop me. The pain may be a bit tight and sore, and I'm going to maybe struggle. I'm 11 handicap, so you got to keep on playing the game.
Oh my goodness, 11 handicap. Watch out, Dennis Correa. Don't be asking this guy for a round. Or make sure you get a lot of shots off of him, Dennis.
I'm happy to come and meet you guys anywhere we can have a game.
How about Southern Arizona, Daryl?
Down at Tucson, yeah.
I'll come. Just say the word and I'm there.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Anytime you're ready. Come on down to Tucson.
Okay. Well, we can look at it. I have a little bit of a busy schedule. I'm planning on going to Florida in January, and then I'm planning on going to Australia and New Zealand for 6 weeks in February. So we keep on planning all these things, and I'm trying to fit the treatment into my traveling, which is not that simple. And I'm trying to fit in the ride in June, so I've got a lot on my plate.
God bless you. God bless you. Anybody want to talk a little bit about lutetium? Jay, Curran, I mean, you've been looking at the possibility of doing lutetium. Where are you finding that there might be current trials?
Let's see. They're always promising them here at UCSF, but they never happen so far. But also down in not Texas, but Arizona, Fabio. I think he's got maybe 2 trials, but I'm not sure. And Mail was having trials, and since that company started the idea, Endosite, and got bought out by Novartis, I think they're going to try to have 1,000 people, or they couldn't have 1,000 trials, but maybe it's 1,000 people.
Yeah. The thing for me is it's not you know where they're doing the lutetium. It's how do I get to the point to understand where I am actually at from a disease point of view and from a health point of view of what I need to do. Where, because I'll jump on a plane and I'll go to Germany. It's not an issue. But the problem is that what I need to do? And that's my dilemma right now. Is I don't know where I'm at
to do. You know, my thinking, Daryl, is that you got to get a really smart genitourinary medical oncologist onto your team. I mean, who is guiding your treatment right now?
Unfortunately, right now, I can honestly tell you no one. Doctor has kind of, you know, I won't say abandoned me, but you know, I think what happens is when I see him, I'm not just sitting there and taking what he tells me. I'm asking him a lot of questions, and I'm probably a little bit of a pain in the ass for him, as opposed to everybody else that maybe walks in and doesn't ask any questions. So I think he gets a little bit, you know, I won't say aggravated with me, but he just, you know, they're so busy. And they got so many people to see. I wait 3 hours to see him. And the other day I went and they sent in a fellow. And I don't have a problem meeting with a fellow because I understand they all have to learn and to get you know the insight as to the patient. But when it's so critical at my stage of the game, and I asked to see the doctor so that he can really help and guide me, and then I asked him to please make sure the doctor comes. I wait another 45 minutes. The doctor comes. And then you know, it's frustrating.
So let me and who is it at Princess Margaret that is supposedly guiding you?
Dr. Hansen, Hansen.
Yeah.
Marguerite, I should see Dr. Fleshner.
No, I would not say that because he's a surgeon.
Yeah, I know.
He's not, and so I definitely would not be seeing him.
Okay.
If it were me, I wouldn't be seeing him. You know, there's a guy in Vancouver, but if you're going to go that far, I mean, I would definitely.
Vancouver's not a problem. My daughter lives there.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We'll talk maybe tomorrow because we've got to move on. But my thought is that you've got to get a good quarterback, and you don't have one.
Okay.
And for me, that would probably be either Paul Korn at MD Anderson, where they are running lutetium trials, or Chuck Ryan at University of Minneapolis. He's very new there, and I don't know if he's taking patients yet, but I can certainly write to him on your behalf if he. So I want you to look up these names. I want you to look up Charles Ryan.
Right.
I want you to look up Paul Korn, C-O-R-N.
Who's in Vancouver?
I'm gonna have to look it up afterwards. I can't tell you off the top of the top, but it's
Marguerite recommended a doctor in Montreal.
I'd like to know who it is, but the guy in Vancouver has a Oriental name. I think he's Korean or Chinese. I'm not sure which, or Canadian Korean or Canadian Chinese, but I'll look it up.
Thank you.
And give me, we tomorrow. Send me your. You have my email, so send me your telephone number.
I'll do that. I'll be on
Okay.
7:30 in the morning, but I'll be arriving in Florida around 11 o'clock, so I can give you a call then from the station.
Okay. And we need to move on because we've got to make time for a bunch of people today.
I understand. Thank you for giving me such a lot, a big portion of the evening. Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
The gentleman in Montreal is Dr. Fred Saad, S-A-A-D.
Yeah, S-A-A-D. Yeah, I know who he is. I don't know enough about him, but he does a fair amount of research. I think he's a GU med-onc, but I'm not certain. He may be a surgeon again. I need to look him up.
And then she mentioned somebody at Sunnybrook called Urban Emenager.
I don't know. But let's talk tomorrow. We must try and touch briefly with a couple of other people. Carl, how are you doing? How was your surgery?
It was just this past Wednesday, and I was at the hospital. Was released Thursday afternoon around 3 o'clock, where the snow was starting to come down very heavily in central New Jersey at the time, and the traffic was at virtual standstill. So it took about 2 hours to get home, which normally would have been 25 minutes. I've heard horror stories that had it a lot worse. So the recovery, I have a catheter right now. It's going to be removed in 2 days on Wednesday. And it's every day a little bit stronger and a little less pain. I've gotten used to the catheter and, cleaning it, maintaining it, etc. The surgeon was quite good to my family. My wife and my daughter were at the hospital at the time, and they were getting ongoing updates throughout the entire process of the surgery, which I was told lasted about 4.5 hours. The only thing I remember when I was wheeled into the operating room, which within 5 minutes I was out, but I saw that huge machine, the Da Vinci robotic machine, off in the distance. It seemed like it was so far away, and that was a huge room, and it almost looked like a huge spider with tentacles. So it's I'm walking slowly, and I'm able to sleep. I did not sleep at the hospital at all, and I'm somewhat glad that they released me the next day because I just couldn't sleep. They do vitals every 4 hours, so I didn't get a private room until 9:30 that evening on Wednesday night. And come midnight, well, even before midnight, the nurse comes in to introduce herself and saying, I'm your nurse. And then at 12 o'clock, somebody else comes in for the vitals, and they come every 4 hours, and then 4 a.m. So it was really difficult to sleep. There were all kinds of noises going on at the hospital. There are various beeps and
right. So
going on.
We're kind of a little short on time because we spent a bunch of time with Daryl, but no major side effects. You're feeling okay.
Yeah.
The catheter's coming out.
Right.
You're walking already, which is really great. You're sleeping. Anything bad?
I can't say. I mean, I was given a prescription for Vicodin, and it was kind of interesting. My wife went first to CVS, and CVS said, we don't have it here. And they wouldn't even tell her what other CVS to go to be able to fill the prescription. So across the street from CVS happened to be Rite Aid. She went there, and they had it, and they gave her the prescription. It's actually 30 tablets. I've only had one. So I'm trying to avoid it, and you know, there really is not a lot of pain. I do take extra strength Tylenol today, just one time.
So those of you all who have had RPs, do you have any words of advice for Carl, who's about to get his catheter removed? There's a few of you I know that have. Bill, Daryl, there's several of you who had RPs. Bill, go ahead.
Well, how long after surgery is this that you're going to get it removed? A week or?
Yeah, I mean, ideally they wanted it to be 8 days, but that would have been Thanksgiving, and they're closed, so they were able to do it a day earlier. So it would be a week, yes.
Well, I'm not in the same. I wasn't in the same boat exactly. I had an incident during my recovery phase. I actually wore the catheter for 45 days. So, but if you should experience the same thing I did, you should expect incontinence the day they take it out. You won't even feel anything. You'll have no control at all. My experience was that the first time I was leaking, I didn't even feel it. I mean, I was sitting on the doctor's table after they took it out and talking to my surgeon, and they had me sitting on a bunch of basically paper, right, or absorbent paper, and I was just, you know, I felt it on my leg before I felt it actually coming out of my penis. So, but you'll get that back after a couple of days. You'll be able to feel the fact that it's. I think it was the 2 days later after I got it out, I started to be able to. You know, I know I'm leaking, right? I had pads in my underwear and everything. But even though I wore the catheter for an extended period of time, I did regain continence fairly quickly. And they'll give you the advice on the exercises to do and all that. My advice is do the exercises. And walking helps. So walk as much as you can. So you're in New Jersey and it's cold, so you know, I was in Florida, and even though it was October, November, I was able to go outside and walk as long as I wanted to. So
yeah, I keep walking the floors of my house back and forth.
That's good advice, man.
And just a word of an explanation to Daryl is that Carl has metastasis in his bones, but is participating in a trial where they're debulking the primary as part of the treatment of his disease, which is somewhere between oligometastatic and metastatic, probably oligometastatic at this point. Peter, what about your thoughts?
Yeah, that was I was going to ask is what was his Gleason score going in, but it sounds like it's somewhat aggressive if it's already metastatic to some degree.
Right. Gleason 910. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you have a good GE medical oncologist working with you, following you.
I sure hope so. It's all part of the Cancer Institute of New Jersey. And
I'd ask and check with them. In my own case, my oncologist is outside the system where I had surgery at UCSF, and I started working with a medical oncologist outside of UCSF, and I'm still working with them to this day. But you want someone who's going to follow you and track you very closely. Perhaps PSA tests every month. Or at least 6 weeks. And you probably want ultra-sensitive PSA tests now that you've had your prostate taken out. And just watch things, because you may well need to go through radiation at some point, maybe even within the year. So to make sure you have a doctor and yourself. Don't let the PSA stuff go automatically to a doctor and wait for an appointment to go.
So, Peter, let me
copies
just
yourself.
interrupt. Peter, let me just interrupt because it's part of a trial. He's in a trial, Carl. So the trial is going to be following him pretty closely.
Okay.
Whether there is the right doc and you remember, Carl, too. You guys met at PCRI. I don't know if there's the right doc in the Cancer Institute in New Jersey, but Carl is talking to Stein at who's now at New York Presbyterian, correct, Carl?
Yes, I have an appointment with him in December. Yes.
Good.
So, who was Jim Harrington's doc, and is certainly well qualified, and of course. I've just lost the name of the guy that heads up that group at New York Presbyterian.
Charles Drake.
Thank you, Charles Drake. Yeah. So there are some good people at New York Presbyterian. So, Peter, any words of advice soon after surgery, other than the longer term of checking your PSA regularly?
No, just exercise. If you can't get outside, join a gym and just walk slowly initially, but just keep it up, keep active.
Yeah, I do belong to a gym, and they have a cancer wellness program that is supervised by doctors. But my instructions are for the next 4 weeks, I cannot do any kind of exercise right after surgery.
Okay, but do try to walk a little bit. At least do things. Don't try to lift weights or anything like that. Just walk.
I think walking. I don't think they're going to discourage you from walking.
Right. No, they are encouraging that, and they are saying I should not lift anything heavier than a gallon of milk.
Correct. All right. Anybody else before we move on? Anybody else want to talk to Carl about recovering from an RP?
You just do your Kegel exercises because that's going to help you down the road.
Thanks, Errol.
Okay.
Very important. You heard that from two people now, Carl.
Yeah. I know. And actually, I was practicing that before the operation, but then with the catheter in me, I'm told I should not be doing it until after it's removed.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. I'm just going to cherry pick a couple of guys quickly who I know that I want to follow up with. Jay Mills, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. I am.
How are you doing? What is going? Where are you? Are you in the midst of your IMRT at this point? And how are you feeling? And how's the treatment going?
Let me switch over to headset.
Just give those on the call a quick background on your situation, please.
Okay, I am I finished with Joe Shu doing HDR, which was a very very straightforward event. I walked away. It's it was the hardest part was laying on my back for like 6 or 8 hours all day, and not moving. And then immediately to very very weak flow at night, distressingly weak flow at night, but during the day much stronger flow. Frequency and urgency has dissipated over 2 weeks. I went 1 week after that to for my planning session, and then 2 weeks after that I started my IMRT with Mac Roach. Mac Roach was traveling at conferences, and so the substitute who was covering for him was Joe Shu, the guy who just did the HDR. And so I requested, I said, well, when you do the plan, could you make sure that both of you review it in detail? And he said yes. And And since then, Mac has come back. I'm 2 weeks into a 5-week IMRT, and have had. We started out with a 4-day session, a short week for 4 days. Then they had a Veterans Day 4-day week. Now I'm going to have Thanksgiving week. So I've had short weeks the first 3. And the last 3 will be full 5-day weeks. Finish up about the 14th of December. So far, I'm having some symptoms. I couldn't tell whether it was feeling of prostate or rectum being impacted, feeling in sort of hot, I guess you'd say. And when I urinate, I feel a burning and pressure. And I'm more and more thinking that it's probably the rectum. And I've asked Mac this morning to review that to see if it is as if he could make it any tighter to avoid reduce any unnecessary risk there. But I do have cancer that was very near. So and it was extra prostatic extension on the right side, and so they are going 2 or 3 millimeters beyond the prostate, and that's probably what I'm feeling now. No diarrhea yet, but that's something they anticipate is likely 3rd week. And I have I have some fatigue and some nausea, but not profound.
Okay.
That's where I am.
Are you walking?
No, it's the fires are so bad. The smoke is horrible.
Oh, that's
I
right.
had plans to walk. I actually rented a place a mile and a half away with the intention of walking there. First thing in the morning and then in the evening. And but I was able to do that for the first 3 or 4 days, and then then the fires came. So yeah. So I'm being very. I'm looking forward to the rain on Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, we wish you all the best. You're in good hands, as you know. Mac's my doctor, so I have a lot of trust in him. But I definitely would, if you've got these side effects, then definitely review them with the doc. And if you can't get to the doc, mention them to the tech. And I know that Mac is not big on space or on the gel or on the balloons. I don't really understand why, but
I might give you a call tomorrow to review that with you, and because it may be something that I may want to put the brakes on and insist on. Because at the beginning he said, "If you want it, we'll give it to you," but I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay, that will be fine. Yeah. Anybody else like to say anything to Jay?
Jay, are you doing your radiation at Mission Bay or up at Mount Zion?
Mount Zion.
Okay.
Jake, did you have your HDR before the IMRT?
I did.
Or afterwards? That's interesting. They did
Before.
They did it the reverse for me. Just wonder why.
I think traditionally it was done after, and then sometimes they'll do it the other way. And at one time I knew the benefits of doing it one or the other, and I don't remember.
As I recall, Jeff, you did it with Albert Chang, right? Or not?
Yes. Yeah. And now I don't know who's my doctor. Well, I think it was, let's see. Well, now I think it's Andrew Wong, who I haven't met yet.
And who did the HDR for you?
That
was that Joe Schmidt?
That was, let's see. No, that was Albert Chang also.
Oh, he did. Albert did both.
And Shinohara was involved.
Right.
Shinohara was on the paperwork, was involved in mine as well. They said he was there helping as well.
So, Jeff, I do want to come to you momentarily, but let's just finish with Jay. Is there anyone else that has anything they'd like to say to Jay?
Yeah, Rick, I'd like to ask. This is Len, Jay.
Yeah, Len.
Yeah, we met at PCRI. So
yes,
I remember Mac Roach gave a lecture at PCRI, and he was talking about how he's all about data. And the FDA approved the SpaceOar. And the FDA approves things based on data. So, I mean, I would ask him, what's the downside to getting the SpaceOar? Why? I don't understand. Even if it doesn't work, of course, it's difficult to know if it's working or not. But even if it doesn't, I've never heard of any adverse effects or issues with it.
I have, and he's actually going to give a paper, I think next week. He and another guy are counterpoint. It's a guy named Brian at Mayo from radiology up there. I think he's head of radiology, and he's going to argue for SpaceOar, and Mac is going to argue against it. There have been several instances where SpaceOar has been used, and it has actually migrated through the wall and caused what some people would call a fistula. Other people say, almost a fistula, where it leaked through the bowel wall and eroded it. And they have, when it has done that, there have been all of the patients that has occurred to that have been documented. They have recovered over time, over several months' time, without, I think, any lasting problems. But that is one of the arguments against it. And the other argument is that that's the main argument, I think. And that the other is that the data that the FDA gave the approval on was data that says it reduces level 1 versus level was it grade 1 instances. It does not do any. It didn't have any effect on grade 2, grade 3 instances. They just looked at grade 1. And Mac said that grade 1 is not a really definable category. Is what I think he was arguing. What else did you say? That that in terms of the statistics of how significant the improvement was with SpaceOar, he said that that you can't really it was not controlled, that the people who got SpaceOar would know they had SpaceOar because you can feel it, and that once it's inserted, there's a fullness you feel, and that there is what the statistics would be exactly what you'd expect for the placebo effect of any medication or any procedure, and that could be all that you're measuring, and so it's not a strong argument it was not strongly improved situation. That's what I remember from his arguments, and that was what he told me in his office when I first met him, and it's also what he repeated at the PCRI conference in the break-off room when he was asked about his thoughts on the matter.
Okay, thank you. I didn't attend that breakout. I didn't know about all of these other factors. Thank you.
And unfortunately, he's also now got so now he's actually been asked to go on another speech about this, to take that position. So now he's vested in this position. It's been attached to his sort of ego and personality now. So it may be more difficult to redress it with him. So
especially with Mac.
Yeah.
And have you discussed the balloon with him?
No, I have not. Don't know about it.
Okay. We'll talk about that. It's slightly different. It's the same concept as the SpaceOar, but it's different technology and where they insert a balloon. But I don't want to get into that too much right now because it sort of belongs more on Peter's call than it does on this call. So, but I'm sure we'll talk tomorrow. Let me get on to Jeff. Jeff, we haven't heard from you for ages, and the last I heard, I think, was back in April, and you were having trouble with your hormone therapy, and you decided that you were wondering whether you should go off, and we were trying to encourage you to stick with the program. Where are you right now?
Yeah, well, I've stayed with it. So I'm a year and a half into the hormone therapy. Let's see. So I'm on the trial with Lupron and Xtandi in combination with radiation therapy. So I had 5 weeks of IMRT and then followed by HDR. I began the Lupron and Xtandi before the radiation treatment, and is continuing through now. It's going to be, let's see, my last Lupron shot is at the end of this year, and then I finish the Xtandi in May. So it seems, well, I'm functional. I experience a lot of fatigue still, and this seems to develop sort of towards the middle part of the day and later on in the day, and then extreme night sweating I'm experiencing, which disturbs my sleep a lot. And I'm actually in the process of taking a medical leave from my work, because that is extremely stressful, and I really feel like I need a break and a rest for a few months. And they agree. My new supervisor is not pleased with my performance. So he's kind of, pressuring me a lot, shall we say. So I think it's time to leave, and a medical leave will be the step out of there to start with. Yeah, so that's where I am. I was very interested in what Daryl had to say. His situation is very similar to mine, I think, in that I had a low PSA always, and it was a Gleason 9 also, 4+5. So my question about, I guess, my question about how the monitoring that I'm having is that the only real way to follow my progress is through the PSA level, it appears, and which is undetectable now. It has been for almost a year. And I'm just wondering if that is adequate to know what's really going on in there. They should be looking something else at this point.
Something else, yeah. So a couple of things come to mind, and again, we can discuss this more openly momentarily. But you had one bone scan back in the beginning of 2017, is that right?
Yes, yeah, and that didn't show anything.
It showed nothing.
Right.
And it's an issue, of course, because the argument is that since your PSA has been undetectable whilst you've been on the hormone therapy, that there's no point in doing another scan. But my take on that is that when you have men that make very little PSA, you've got to be looking for other signs, and I think that's really what your question is.
Yeah, right.
I probably would be making an appointment at this point in time with a medical oncologist at UCSF. I'd ask to see a medical oncologist.
Okay.
And the reason being, just to discuss with them about this whole low PSA, what to look for. I'm not comfortable. I asked to see a medical oncologist. I was at Kaiser. I had my radiation at UCSF, but I had my follow-up at Kaiser, and I wanted a medical oncologist following me, because I feel like the medical oncologists are the ones who really understand the internal medicine aspects of being on long-term hormone therapy. So I don't think there's anything wrong with you asking for a medical oncologist. And right now, probably
would you recommend?
I would probably ask for Terry Friedlander.
Okay.
All of my go-to guys have left. And Agarwal is overworked, and I would I'd stay away from what's her name, the Chinese,
the new yeah.
No, she's not new. But
she left, right?
Amy Lim.
Amy Lin. Lin. Thanks, Peter. Amy Lin. I would stay away from Amy Lin.
Okay.
So I think she's still there, as far as I know. Is she still there, Peter? Amy Lin's still there, isn't she?
I don't know. I just remembered the name.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I did meet one young new Chinese medical oncologist over a year ago. Just one conversation, and she seemed, well, not very interested in my case. She thought it was way too early for me to be talking to her, I guess.
But you've got to make the argument for yourself, as Darryl will tell you, that when you've got that low PSA, you've got to be on the look. And the problem that you're going to find is that somebody like the radiation oncologist is not going to be on top of it enough. And so you've got to advocate for yourself. And the question is, how do I follow it? And it may be smart to do another scan at this point in time. It
A
may
bone
well
scan.
Be smart.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I just the mere fact that your PSA at its peak was 3.5 and you had a Gleason 9 is enough for you to be of interest for them to follow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, Peter.
Darryl, go ahead.
Yeah, if I can interject here, I
Go ahead,
was
Bill.
feeling exactly like you were at one point, and I basically just went to my primary care physician and said, I need the bone scan for my peace of mind.
Okay.
And I just insisted, and she agreed, so she ordered it. And so I did.
Okay.
Like Pete, like Rick is saying, you have to advocate for yourself. You gotta. I mean, you have to argue. You don't have to argue with them, but I mean, maybe appeal to their heartstrings. It's your peace of mind. You haven't had one in a while, and who's to say, right? Because you don't express a high PSA anyway,
right?
And you never had, and you had a 9 Gleason score. So those are valid arguments right there. And you tell them, for your peace of mind, you want this bone scan.
Yeah.
Jeff, this Lupron plus Xtandi, was that on a trial or was that just?
Yes.
It was, wasn't it? Who's running? Who's the PI on that trial?
I think it's now Andrew Wang, Huang, I believe. I talked to him on the phone. That's all I know about him.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of somebody. I mean, there is a guy I know, but I didn't think he was a GI med onc, but quite possibly. Well, it's tricky when you're on a trial, but if the PI running that trial is a genitourinary medical oncologist, mean, find his name and please send it to me. But if he is that's the guy that you should be meeting with, particularly if you're coming to the end of the trial.
Yeah.
If not, because if you go to Friedlander, he's going to refer you back into the trial. I forgot that this Lupron and Extandi was part of a trial, but you should be going in and to that go in and talk with that guy. Make an appointment to see him.
If he's a medical med-onc.
Yes,
Yeah.
if he's a med-onc, and if you send me we can check that out. If you send me the trial number or look at the trial number, look on the UCSF site. For trials, or I can do that later.
Well, yeah, I have it written down someplace. Yeah.
And then you'll see who the current principal investigator is, and I'm pretty certain if it's a Lupron plus Extandi trial, was the trial Lupron plus Extandi, or did the trial include your HDR?
Yeah. Also HDR. Yes. And IMRT.
So, it's a question whether the PI is a radiation oncologist or a medical oncologist. You're going to have to look. If it's a radiation oncologist, no, that's not who I would want to see. If it's a medical oncologist, I would go see him.
Okay.
Okay.
So still go back to Friedlander if in that case, I guess. Ask to see Friedlander.
If the PI is a radiation oncologist, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
And Jeff, I'll see what I can find. I'm making notes on my follow-up, but you can definitely go onto the UCSF clinical trials site, and you should find your trial right there, and it should tell you who the PI is, as well as, of course, clinicaltrials.gov.
Yeah. I think it was Albert Chang at the beginning, and now it's changed. I'm not sure though.
Well, yeah. I mean, in fact, I've got it here. I'm looking at it and I see the clinical trial number. Len, could you check this out for me? NCT is the clinical trial 025 08636. 025 08636. And I have in my notes that it was Albert's clinical trial. So
yeah, that's what I thought too. But he might have passed it on when he moved.
Well, but if he passed it on, he probably passed it on to a rad-onc and not to a med-onc.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was a rad-onc.
Can you give me that trial number again?
025 08636.
And what were the first three letters?
NCT.
Okay.
So, if it's with a rad-onc, then yeah, I would say Terry Friedlander.
Mm-hmm.
I like him. He's great.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Very, unsettling to hear some of these stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Rick, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead, Daryl.
I've been having CT scans and MRIs and bone scans, and for every 3 months, I've basically insisted to have my scans done. And in fact, I just asked now for a bone density because with my ride coming up in June, I really want to see what shape my bones are in terms of fractures and anything to that effect. But I was surprised that the doctor never recommended and said, hey, why don't we do a bone scan and a bone density. Let's see how you're doing. You've done all this treatments. It's affected your bones. The metastasis is eating into your bones. It's so frustrating because I've seen part of my guys in our warrior groups unfortunately pass away. And when I spoke to them initially and said, hey guys, what are you taking, or I don't know what I'm taking. I don't know what I'm doing. The doctor gave me this, the doctor gave me, and the guys passed away. When I started my journey, I had a buddy of mine. He was very similar to me with PSAs and Gleason scores. He lasted 3 years and he was gone.
Mm.
You know,
Wow.
so he said he was doing juicing. But I mean, you know, you can't just live by juicing alone. It's so
That's right.
complicated. You've
That's
got to
right. That's
advocate
right.
for yourself. So, you know, I'm actually having another scan now in December to do not an MRI, a CT scan, a bone scan, a full body bone scan, and a bone density. And then I'll be able to analyze where I'm at still and go from there. Not that they can find any more metastasis because it's so, I look like a Christmas tree. I've seen my scan on my chest and my ribs and so on. It's so dotted, but that's besides the point. It's good to know that the organs are clear, and that's the reason I keep on doing it. Is I want to make sure that the organs stay clear, because if the organ stays clear, then the rest of my body I can function. But you know, if it's a bit more pain, it's one thing. So I'm very insistent on doing the scans that often.
Yeah, you know, the bone density is a big issue, and I recommend all you guys who have been on long-term
Hormone therapy
and who are not getting, you know, are you getting Zometa?
I'm on Xgeva, on Xgeva with polio.
Okay,
So I do that every month.
Okay, so if you're not getting Xgeva or Zometa, you've got to be doing a bone scan. The reason why I'm less concerned about a bone scan if I'm on that drug is because that's what they would give you. So if your bone density is low, I don't know what else they're going to do beyond Xgeva or the Zometa, except as Daryl needs to know, to be careful with your exercise. I mean, I got a as most of you know, I got a bone scan when they put me on bone density, when they put me on ADT, and it turned out that I had osteoporosis. I mean, I was amazed. And and the last one I got was 5 years ago. I'm back to having some osteopenia again, but it's not that bad.
Right.
But you know, some of us are just susceptible to bone density issues even without hormone therapy.
Right.
So it's important to ask your doctors, and if you're over 65, you're entitled to it on once every 2 years on Medicare anyway.
Yeah, well,
so it's not, sorry?
Luckily in Toronto, all of this is free.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
That's lucky about.
but anyway, yeah, I do recommend that you do check.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. Well, did you find anything, Len?
Yeah. The PI is Hao Nguyen. Sounds like a Vietnamese name.
Right.
At
UCSF.
Okay.
The urologic oncologist.
Yeah. Yeah. When Hao is a cohort of Peter Carroll, he's been there. I think he was still resident when I had my radiation, but I've seen him more recently than that. He's pretty good, but he is in the surgery end of things.
He's a surgeon.
Not a radiation oncologist.
Yeah, he's a surgeon. So, yeah, I mean, and I don't know who this fellow Wang is. I don't think, but so I probably lean towards Terry Friedlander and just book an appointment with him and tell him, you know, you've been on the trial, coming towards the end of it, and you're very concerned because you have an unusual type of prostate cancer, very low PSA, very high Gleason.
Yeah.
And you want him to follow you.
It may actually be when or however you pronounce it, that I talked to on the phone, and I just mistranscribed his name because I didn't understand the spelling. So.
Okay.
How long have you been on your journey for? I didn't get that in the beginning.
I had a biopsy in January 2017.
Oh, so just recently you've been diagnosed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I haven't done a very good job managing the call today. I apologize to everybody. Who else wanted time, Len?
We need to talk to Peter.
Okay. Peter, you're up.
Okay, and I want to make sure Les has a comment too. Yesterday,
Yeah, Peter and Les.
yesterday, Sunday, was the official completion of my proton beam radiation. Instead of the 20 courses that was programmed, it was narrowed down to 10 after they took a look at my previous scans and my previous radiation program and so forth, the older IMRT. Anyway, so 10 sessions, two metastatic lymph nodes in my abdominal area hit every day, and absolutely no side effects. Just lying still on a cadaver table for 45 minutes was hard, but when I heard Bill say it was 6 hours for him, I have nothing to complain about. Yeah, so my big issue is I have about 6 more weeks to go with Dr. Turner, my medical oncologist, about staying on Zytiga, and my last shot should start getting out of the system somewhat in about 6 weeks. That'll be 3 months, and I kind of can't wait for that to wear off. I'm starting to feel a little bit of the accumulated side effects of Zytiga and Lupron now, which fortunately I don't have night sweats. I don't have, but I feel the loss of energy quite a bit more. This is my 3rd round on ADT over the last 4.5 years. So I'm still okay though. I can feel it mentally. I can feel it physically, my stamina and so forth. That's my biggest issue. I was very impressed with the California Proton Center. I attended a seminar there with them explaining how it all works and everything, and I was pretty impressed. Most percent of the work, the results, is prostate work, and that's because it's covered by Medicare. Very few women are there because breast cancer, other cancers are not covered by insurance. So they do a lot of pediatric work and a lot of guys with prostate cancer. And Rossi himself, I think, has treated some 8,000 or 9,000 guys with prostate cancer. So I feel good about it. The time will tell. Once I'm off of once I'm off and PSA starts normalizing, coming out of, if it does indeed come out of undetectable early next year or something, then I'll keep watching it. But at this point, there's nothing else I can do except hope that I get a real long, durable remission out of this. So that's my story.
So the side effects that you're experiencing, a little fatigue mostly, is that, you said none and then you mentioned the fatigue.
It's more stamina, loss of stamina. I mean, I still work every day at the gym. I'm on the treadmill. Today I was playing ping pong with my girlfriend. I mean, I can feel I just don't have, my stamina is decreasing markedly. Things I used to love to go to the gym, and I used to do 3 miles on the treadmill. Now I pretty much give up at a mile. Not running. I mean, that's a fast walk, but I can feel my stamina fading. So, but that's part. I knew that was part of the case. I mean, I knew that was going to be part of the ride, and I don't mind. I'm just looking for the durable remission when I can weather this.
Well, Peter, some of that is, also due to the long-term hormone therapy. I mean, are you? I'm not sure where you are right now. Are you on or off of hormone therapy?
I'm still on every day, and I've got 6 more weeks to go of my last 3-month shot.
Okay, so
Then I'll fade out.
So you're still on Zytiga and you're still on your Lupron, but you're fading it out.
I'm on week 6 of a 3-month shot. I'm halfway.
Say that again. We're
My last
losing you a
3-month
little
shot.
bit.
What's that?
We lost you a little bit. You're on week 6 of
my last 3-month shot.
Okay. And then the Zytiga you're going to stop when you stop the Lupron?
Right, mid-January, the end.
Okay. Did you get the results back of on your MSI?
No, I've got to call Dr. Turner off this week and see if I get the results yet.
Okay.
Or maybe I'll call Foundation Medicine if they'll talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Am I the only one that's hearing Peter fade out? Is it my connection or is it?
I'm hearing it. Yeah.
Having the same experience.
Yeah.
He's a couple words are dropping here and there.
Yeah. Les, do you want to do you and Peter want to dialogue a little bit about the PBRT?
Well, we have communicated a little bit over the on email, so I don't know if it's any use to continue it on here.
Only if there's anything that you think would be beneficial to the whole group.
No, not really. The only difference I feel, I don't think that I had any real detectable side effects, any fatigue and everything that I experienced or lack of endurance I have had before from being on Lupron, which was rather significant. So I didn't notice anything additional to that due to the radiation.
I agree. That's true. I don't think the proton beam has any side effects. I was impressed.
Les, did you want to say anything to Daryl about Mayo? Because I speak my mind, but I think Daryl should hear from everybody, and you've had good success with Mayo.
Well, yes, but that's only with my situation, and I have never had any real connection with anyone else to compare it to. You've had a lot more experience through other people than I have. So I don't have any means or reason for disputing anything that you said. It's just that things have worked out for me okay.
Yeah. Daryl is a patient of Dr. Kwan at Mayo. Les is a patient of Dr. Kwan at Mayo, Daryl.
Yes.
Is probably who you would want to see, but I have concerns because again, he's not a GU med-onc.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what I need to get to now.
Yeah.
GU med as opposed to oncology, to radiologists.
Yeah, he's actually his training is actually as a surgeon, I believe. Do you know anything about the lutetium trials at Mayo, Les?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there, Len? Do we need to touch base with anybody else? We're only 5 minutes over time with all of this, so.
I've got 2 names on my list, Cameron and Jay Curran.
Okay, Cameron left, unfortunately. I would love to have, I wish we could have talked with him. He's in much the same situation as Ken, and of course the 2 of them visited. Ken just came back from Australia on vacation, and Cameron is in Australia, and he is looking at his PSA rising after chemotherapy, and he's very nervous about it. And of course, I shouldn't say of course, you are not aware, but he's very young. He's in his early 40s. So it's a difficult situation. But he had to go because his kids, as Bill Franklin knows, there's a lot to do when those little kids come running around. That's probably why Bill paused on us. Oh, there you are. Did you have the little munchkins claiming your time?
Yeah, I got 6 kids here. They're having a they're having a camp out in the backyard. So.
Okay. So it takes away Jay. Let's then finish up with you. What's on your mind this week?
It's Jay Kern in San Francisco, and we did talk briefly last time about MSI, and my score is about 45 out of about 400. So I guess maybe that's not useful.
Well, it's very useful in the sense that it indicates that you're probably not a good candidate for pembrolizumab, Keytruda, or anti-PD-1 that works in the same way as pembrolizumab, nivolumab, and some of the others. I mean, I think what did Agarwal say to you?
I haven't seen him yet about that. I see him in January. So I'm not doing well on Keytruda. My PSA doubling time is about 18 days. I'm up to 174. And I don't know if you remember John Nidecker had the support group of UCSF. I talked to him, and his PSA has come down from 1,000 to 500, and he's seeing a doctor in Santa Rosa, Dr. Wes Lee, and I'm going to go see him. And he does BAT.
What treatment is he doing?
BAT.
BAT?
Yes.
Okay, well, we know it can work, and Thibault got a little bit out of it, and you've watched our BAT video, or if you haven't, I strongly recommend you watch it before you go to see him.
Is it labeled BAT?
It's on the website. I think it is on the website. Bipolar androgen, isn't it, gents? Somebody on the website?
I believe it is listed as BAT.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this is, this was a seminar that was provided by Sam Denmead, who is the guru of BAT.
Yeah, if you look under resources on the website, it's listed as BAT presentation.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was I think you were there, but it's good to look at it and see his slides, listen to what he says. He's the guy that's running the BAT trials at Johns Hopkins.
Okay.
I don't want to say he's the originator, because there are some other people like
I read the study with 16 patients, and then I think there was a Schweitzer that studied under him, and now he's up in Seattle.
Yeah, and then there's what's his face, isn't there? The guy down in Southern California.
Yeah.
Leibowitz.
Yeah. This is 1 month, and then you stay on in my case, Firmagon, and then do it again for a month. But Leibowitz, I thought it was 3 months for him. I'm not sure, and he's retired.
Well, what Thibaut did was, of course, Thibaut's included a bone marrow transplant as well. But what Thibaut did with Denmead was, I think it was 1 month.
Okay.
I could look it up, but you know, I guess it's not surprising with such a low MSI that you're not responding to Keytruda, to pembrolizumab. You know, that's kind of why I was surprised, and we talked last time that they didn't measure the MSI before you started on the Keytruda. But anyway.
Well, it was in the test, but they didn't say anything about it, and so when I looked it up, it was there.
Oh, okay.
So I think
so they knew that they did know before they put you on Keytruda that you had low MSI.
I believe so. You were the first person I heard mention that word, MSI.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can't say. I mean, I would be discussing BAT with Agarwal as well.
Okay.
You know, there's. I mean, it's a bona fide treatment. It's a bona fide treatment. It may not. You know, it's likely to work for men, or more likely to work for men that have clear androgen-driven prostate cancer. So if you have more of this sort of morph type disease, I think the theory is it's going to be less effective, but it is an alternative.
I have the. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I have the CDK12 gene deficiency or whatever it is, and that's supposed to give me a some sort of upper hand with PD1, but so far it's not. Nothing's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, did we cover everybody, Len?
Yes, we did, Rick.
Rick, may I just ask a question to the guys that are still with us? Is anybody on any specific vitamins or anything that they're taking on a daily basis besides their regular meds?
No one?
Calcium and vitamin D.
Yeah,
calcium and vitamin D.
Calcium,
Also.
vitamin D. So
same here.
Okay. So I'm
Also,
taking
ginseng. I ate for about a year. Seemed to help, maybe. Ginseng.
Ginseng.
Yeah.
American ginseng. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the American ginseng is supposed to to help a great deal with fatigue and stamina. Peter, that's one you might want to think about.
So what I'm taking,
talk to
what I'm taking is I'm taking vitamin D, calcium. I take turmeric. I take chaga, and I take immune 7.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the chaga is a mushroom, and it's probably the world's greatest antioxidant. So if you're on medications and stuff, you have to be very careful. You cannot take it because it counteracts your treatment. So I had to go off it for quite a while when I was doing all my immunotherapy and stuff. But I'm now back on it, and from what I've read, it's it's pretty powerful. So that's what I'm taking at the moment.
Okay.
And then I'm in the morning about 11 different items in my cereal, including protein and flax and hemp and a ton of 11 different things I put in my cereal.
Right. I mean, we always encourage that whatever you do, you review with your medical team and your quarterback. Of course, your problem, Darryl, is you're not quite sure who your quarterback is, but
in fact, I don't have a quarterback.
I know. Wait a minute. Do you have a fly half?
I'll have a fly half. All good, all good.
We're going to find you a fly half. You don't need a quarterback. You need a fly half. I know what you need.
That's true. That's true. If I may just say, gentlemen, I really appreciate coming to this forum and you guys giving me the time to go through my story. I feel a lot better today that I can kind of speak to you guys and kind of find out some of your journeys and where you're at, and hopefully I can give you some advice as to my journey. It seems like it's been pretty significant compared to maybe some of you guys in terms of all the treatments I've done in a short space of time. But hopefully we can all learn from each other and move forward and get that golf game together sometime.
That's right. Well, we need you to keep coming back. That's the key thing. We need you to. As you hear, there's a lot of knowledge here. No, I mean, Jay Mills, don't you have some thoughts on all of these vitamins and goodness knows what? Jay, are you still with us? May not
Are you
be.
talking about Jay Curran or Jake?
Jay Mills. Jay Mills.
Okay. Okay.
I think Jay did a bunch of research. And Kevin, we don't have you've listened in, so you got a good feel for how the call goes. Please come back and visit with us. Our next session will be next Tuesday, which will be the 27th. Yes, we'll be meeting.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And if you would like to be, it'll be the 27th. It will start here at 6 p.m. Eastern. I don't have your email, but if you would like to send it to me, I'm happy to add you to the distribution list. You can send it to info at ancan.org. Alpha Nancy Charlie Alpha Nancy. .org.
Okay.
Send me your email and we'll add you to the distribution list. We send out a reminder before each session.
Yes, I appreciate that. And I'm just at the beginning of all of this journey that you guys have been talking about. So that's why I called in.
Okay.
I'll certainly call in next Tuesday.
Okay, and we'll give you time at the beginning of the call. You don't get a rate check again next time, Kevin. We'll put you up there. You're gonna have to talk to us, okay?
Very good. No, I'm anxious to do that. I do have several questions, so thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for bearing with us. I wish you all a very, very happy Thanksgiving if you're in the States. If you're in Canada, you already had your Thanksgiving, so we're a little late.
Go to the States for Thanksgiving.
And I hope that, that we can all give thanks for a healthy year. Len, Peter, are you still with us, Peter Kafka?
Peter left.
No, I think he left. Okay. All right. No, then it's not important. So we will see you again next Tuesday. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, guys.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thanksgiving, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. Bye-bye.